We are continuing our work on basic skills. Last week we worked on finding angles. We will at some point work on finding planes. We'll work on proportion. Each of these basic skills are building blocks, and we not only learn how to use them, but they give us a language to dialogue with as well. For instance, if a student is having trouble with the drawing and I notice that an angle is off, I can say, check your angle from here to here, and they will know exactly what I'm talking about. We use angles, the skill of finding angles, we use in all drawing. We're going to add to that, we'll continue looking for angles, but we'll add to that how to identify larger shapes. And we have a picture here of the Botanic Gardens in Chicago, the Japanese gardens, and they're these beautiful, I don't know what the technical word for them is, I call them sculptures. And this is quite a complex image. If I had lots and lots of time, I would do the whole thing. Today, I'm just going to focus on the sculpture itself because even that has a lot going on. And so, you know, where do you start and how do you not get confused? So one system that many artists have used for centuries is a grid system. Here we see a drawing by Raphael, and you can see how he broke down the image to make it manageable into small squares. That is one way. It's not the only way. And it's a way that some people work with easily, some don't work with it at all. Anthony Ryder, who is a contemporary artist, mostly figure artist, uses what he calls the envelope. And he finds the bigger shapes, like this is sort of a triangle. And he begins with that and keeps breaking down the image into smaller and smaller areas to make it manageable. I have friends who really make this work. I use a sort of cross between a grid and an envelope. So part of that process is learning to identify or shape, what I call shape recognition. And this is an exercise, this is a common exercise, and is useful even for those who've been drawing for a long time. It's just a nice reality check to see how quickly you can identify these shapes, and if you're new to drawing, this can be a very useful tool. So I have down in the corner here just the original image just to see where we're going with that. You can see the comparison. And so the point of this exercise is to match the shape. I broke the, first of all, divided the image into basic shapes. So it's a sort of grid, but it's also looking at bigger shapes in the object. So it's a kind of combination of grid and pocket. So I saw that as one shape. Then I saw this as another shape. Then I saw this as a third shape. This is another shape. And this as another shape. And I do that always when I draw because I can't, if I just start in and start drawing, I'll run off the page or I'll get confused. So I've broken it down here. And this exercise, we will draw, this is tricky because I'm left-handed, I will match what I see, the outline, and this is very linear, but it's one way to start. I will match the outline that I see, and this is an exercise. So, you know, if it doesn't work the first time, keep your eraser handy, try it again. It's really training the eye. This would be similar to being on the tennis court and just learning to hit the ball back and forth, and you're wondering, when am I going to have somebody on the other side of the court returning it to me? Well, the first thing is to learn how to hit the ball. So that's what this is. The first thing is to learn to recognize these shapes. And so the exercise continues all the way down here. Then this one, I've taken out some of the boxes so that the shape recognition is for this whole shape in this one box. And I'm going to turn this upside down because I'm left-handed. It's easier for me to see, but even if you're not left-handed, and you can see it just as well right-handed, this is also a useful tool that Betty Edwards, in Drawing on the Right Side of the Brain, helped us to see how useful this can be. So I already know that this shape is going to be about halfway down. So I would carefully draw, this, making sure that this section comes about halfway down. And I would, again, repeat this shape. Now, I could continue doing detail in there, or I could then move to a tablet and rough in the big shapes that I had seen, which I've done. You can see the remnants of the boxes. And I did it very, very lightly because when I'm done with my drawing, I would want to get rid of those guidelines, or search lines, some people call them. And when I am confident that I have these shapes here, I could go in and put in as much detail as I want and do some shading if that's the direction that I want to go with this. I don't want to begin this detail and get really invested in the drawing or the shading until I'm certain that I have all the pieces together, because erasing shading can get kind of messy and you can't always get it all up. So that would be one way to approach a very complicated image.